much. And we want to get more now on Tulsi Gabbard's prospects and her nomination overall with Democratic Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy of Illinois. He is a member of the House Intelligence Select Committee, as well as ranking member of the China Select Committee. Congressman, thanks for being with us once again on Bloomberg TV and radio. We obviously heard a lot from Tulsi Gabbard today. She says she is not a puppet. She defended her service to the country. Were you convinced at all that she deserves the job of Director of National Intelligence?
No, and I think that question about Edward Snowden is very, very, very important. The reason being that she's being asked to potentially lead the national intelligence community. So when somebody actually discloses our secrets to our adversaries, the question is, how does she feel about it? And it's just a very straightforward question. Do you believe he's a traitor or not? And she's not willing to answer the question. In fact, in the past, she's called him a hero. And so I think that's disqualifying as a threshold question, her inability to answer it.
You know, a lot of her supporters, at least those who speak to her, benefit Congressman, say that she's got a security clearance and she's a combat veteran. Would she have a security clearance if she, in fact, were a threat to our intelligence here, a national security threat to America, or acting somehow as a foreign agent, as some have suggested?
Well, it's not necessarily the fact that she has a security clearance that automatically qualifies her to be Director of National Intelligence. To be Director of National Intelligence, you need to not only be extremely vigilant about keeping our secrets, but also you need to be, extremely active in collecting intelligence against others and telling the truth to the president as well as Congress. And the fact that she's not willing to be very straightforward in the way in which she's answering this question just raises a number of other questions about how she would interact with the legislative branch, how she would interact with the president, and of course, how she would even treat our classified secrets, how vigilant she would be about guarding them.
Do you think if she were DNI that it would change the nature of the information you are receiving in any way, either in the Intelligence Select Committee or the China Select Committee for that matter? Do your concerns go that far? Possibly.
I think that the fact that a lot of people think that she might view her loyalty to Donald Trump being even more important than anything else could help get people thinking, well, is she shading the facts one way or another when she comes and testifies to us in this skiff? Is she telling us everything that we need to know? And then it causes other problems, such as our allies, friends, and partners not sharing intelligence with us because they don't trust her. Or other agencies within the intelligence community not sharing intelligence with her. And then we go back to the silo effect, which in part led to 9/11. So there's just a whole cascade of problems that start when we start to question kind of the nature of her answers.
Tulsi Gabbard tried to head off some criticism in her opening remarks, clearly some very well-rehearsed answers. And she tried to make the point, as some say, that she's a puppet. She said, how could I be the puppet of so many people at once? If I'm the puppet of Putin, if I'm the puppet of Assad, and she went down the line. What would you say, Congressman? Is Tulsi Gabbard a puppet?
I'm not going to go that far, but what I would say is that her dealings with Assad in particular are deeply troubling. I think the fact that she is willing to kind of echo the lines that Vladimir Putin puts out there is deeply troubling. It really calls into question, where is her loyalty? Why is she saying these things? In any case, she's not qualified to be Director of National Intelligence. We need somebody who everybody can trust, who will be the ultimate truth teller, and somebody that will tell it straight, whether it's to the president or to Congress.
Well, I want to ask you about something else, Congressman, given your role as ranking member on the China Select Committee. Obviously, earlier this week, we saw financial markets and many others roiled by the news of DeepSeek and its capabilities in AI. You and the chair of the committee, Congressman Molinar, put out a statement today that said in part, DeepSeek made extensive use of NVIDIA's 800 chip, the first chip that NVIDIA designed specifically to fall outside U.S. export controls. This demonstrates what the Select Committee has long argued. Frequently updating export controls is imperative to ensure the PRC will not exploit regulatory gaps and loopholes to advance their AI ambitions. Congressman, just how tight do export controls need to get? What chips are safe to sell to China?
Well, I think that right now what's very important is that the most advanced chips cannot be sold to China because they're unfortunately used against us in different ways, whether it's for military modernization or for the persecution of Uyghurs or other minorities in China through their surveillance systems. So that is a good starting point. What I'm concerned about is, for instance, with DeepSeek, that they were able to stockpile a number of the highest end chips before the export controls actually went into effect, namely the H100 chips. And then they bought a lot of these H800 chips. And so what we want to do is both strengthen the export controls and make sure that they're not porous. The founder of DeepSeek, a guy named Mr. Liang, said that the number one issue that he has to deal with are export controls. So they do matter, and they do affect the progress with which he makes. And by the way, that's an extension of the CCP, and the technology that DeepSeek has will make its way into the military modernization of China as well.